violence or the cycle of violence will break us. It is a matter of will. It is a matter of perspective. It's a matter of dedication. So many of us throughout history, and I count myself lucky every day, that I've never had to go to war, the first in a couple of generations within my family on both sides. I've never had to go to war. I've never had to stare down the barrel of a gun and liquefy someone else's personality at medium distance, or slide a bayonet into their ribs and twist to do maximum damage, and watch the bowels and intestines spill out all over the muddy ground. I've never had to do that. I have the gift and the luxury of I can't say a more difficult war, because I can't imagine anything more difficult than what happened in the wars of the 20th century. But a more abstract war, a more challenging war, a war to wake people up to the necessity of kisses, not snarls, in the face of the developing minds of our tender-hearted children. That is the war that I have chosen. And in some ways the war that has chosen me.
Many years I have traveled this.
And all of the evidence, all of the facts, all of the studies, and all of the philosophy points in exactly the same direction. We indulge our irrationalities at the peril of the planet. Now, before the swords could only kill so many people, now we have swords the size of the skies that can decapitate the entire population of the continent relatively quickly. We have moved so far forward in our government program of near infinite destruction that unless we catch up and overtake it with our parenting, it will overtake us like a tsunami of fire and bury us in a Pompeii style of ashes which may not be recovered. It is that important. You know, when I go on this show and I say to people, oh, you know, send me some money, do some good, freedomainradio.com/donate, help us out. It's not because I want to build a palace of gold. I understand, and I hope that people listening to this are beginning to understand that we are in an arms race. We kiss each other or we eat each other. Really, this is where we are heading. There are unstable and violent elements the world over. We would love nothing more than to provoke a conflict that depopulated the planet.
Where's your sense of adventure? The third corruption is upon us.
It's a battle to kill millions. And it's a generation of dedication and commitment to raise the new crop of a peaceful harvest. To destroy a life takes but an instant. To grow a life takes decades of dedication and commitment, and a steadfast rejection to the aggression and cycle of violence that has bound so many of us, so uselessly, so pointlessly, up in its grip. This is the only thing that will work. Violence doesn't work, invasion doesn't work. Look at this, we've got a human goddamn story going back 150,000 years. And the end result of 150,000 years of intense and focused and purposeful human development is that we have now come to the precipice of the volcano of the end. This has been
at precisely the right moment.
The result
Into the mind
of all of our progress. Just scientific revolution on, what are we talking, 500 years.
Where's your
Industrial revolution onward,
Many years I have
200 years. Agricultural revolution onwards, 400 years. 5, 6, 7, depending on when you count it.
Well,
Of this 150,000 years, we have a tiny sliver of human progress that has brought us to the edge of this volcano, and it's almost like we have to get to the edge of this volcano so that we can loose the grip of the past, loose the grip of history. God, can't we be addicts who don't have to destroy their lives in order to quit their addiction? Control, to bullying, to punishment, to rewards, to spanking, to confinement, to timeouts, to shitty schools, to yell it, to name call it, to control it. It's almost like there are radical elements pushing us closer and closer and closer to the fire as a species. Almost saying, it's peace or us. It's peace or this. It's peace or it's nothing.
It is time.
And we are just a hot rock of nuclear shadows, which aliens will visit in a million years and say, once contained life.
Face each foe with dignity and resolve.
There may even be some great art down there,
I have traveled this land.
but it's all melted. Come back in another million years, maybe the half-life will have gone away. That's all we might have to offer. Those who have the vision of what might happen with escalation, the escalation doesn't even have to be fundamentally so terrifyingly dramatic. It can just be the population frightened by the effects of the actions of the rulers, running more to the rulers, who then provoke more actions that frighten the people, who run more to the skirts of the rulers, and we end up with these giants of fantasy protection. We scurry beneath their feet. They said about Caesar, he doth bestride the world like a colossus, and this is how small we will feel in the face of the perceived necessity for our rulers to save us from the effects of their own brutalities. Our sense of individuality, our sense of personhood is shrinking. Like these old TVs, this is back in the day, long before flat screen TVs, you turn the TVs off and they'd shrink to a tiny point of hard light that would then fade. And if you stared at it, you might get that tiny point of light for another minute or two and just fade.
It is in the small folk I place my
I think that our sense of power, our sense of authority, our sense of autonomy, our sense of capacity to have an effect in the world is fading out like the hard white light of a broken television. It may not end with a bang, it may end with a whimper, but unless we dedicate ourselves to this non-stop promulgation and propagation of peaceful parenting, it may end with a bang, it may only end with a whimper. But unless we work for peaceful, secure serenity for our children, it is goddamn well going to end one way or the other.
Well, I think I arrived at precisely the right moment.
Well, you know, it's, you know, when you have a kid, you're lashed in. You can't give up on the future because you're making someone who's going to live there. Or you've made someone who's going to live there. And since you've made someone who's going to live in the future, you might as well take a stab at making the future too, right? Yeah, I mean, I've just been listening to a lot of Thomas Sowell lately. S-O-W-E-L-L. You can find lots of his interviews on YouTube, and he's actually openly said, he's I think 80 plus years old now, and he said, I'm glad I'm so old so I won't have to see what's coming. And an interviewer gave him two quotes. I'm going to...
Into the mines. I have traveled this land.
Waste of time. Regeneration. Legendary.
Many years I have traveled this land.
5 kills done. Give up already. Retribution.
Into the mines. Where's your sense of adventure? Join your master in darkness. The road calls me to wander it. It is in the small folk I place my hope. Well, I think I arrived at precisely the right moment.
Haste.
Face each foe with dignity and resolve. Well, I think I arrived at precisely the right moment. The road calls me to wander. Back to the abyss! The road calls me to wander it. Many years.
Push them daisies!
And now to deal with you. The road calls me to wander. It is time. Beware the fall. By your leave. It is time. The road calls me to wander.
Victory. Legion wins.